is a scientific director of Guna. He knows about low-dose medicine, physiological regulating medicine, everything which needs to be known, because he's the man behind the research. He's the man behind the method, obviously together with his colleagues, but nevertheless, Alessandro Pera is the man of physiological regulating medicine. So now I have to say that we're absolutely delighted at the turnout. We're delighted to see everybody here, and we hope you will enjoy the day. This is our third annual Physiological Regulating Medicine Conference, and we hope that there will be many to come, and we hope you will come back. And Alessandro is an absolutely fabulous lecturer with over 3,000 hours, I think, of lecturing. Yeah, he quit counting. He just stopped counting the hours. He lectures at the university level in Europe and America, and we're very, very lucky to have him here. But I know he loves coming to Ireland because he loves, yeah. So this is the subject of today's seminar or lecture. Alessandro is very engaging, very knowledgeable, absolutely brilliant lecturer. And can I say on behalf of Alessandro that he always encourages people to ask questions as we go. So any questions you have, do ask. He'll give you instructions on that later. And besides being a brilliant scientist and lecturer, Alessandro is a charming person. So that's it. Let's start.
Oh, thank you very much. Great introduction. But since she said I am a charming man, people sometimes say, Alessandro, making fun of myself, obviously. You have to run from the Nobel Prize, and it's a real big fun, but more for Oscar. Honestly, if I have to compete for some, yes, the first one. Okay, so thank you very much for your introduction, and thank you very much to be here. It's always a great pleasure for me to be in your country, as you know, because I come from an island. I come from Sardinia. So since I am in an island, I feel at home. And you know also that Italians and Irish are very connected, because even though we are Mediterranean and you stay in the ocean, we have something in common in our blood. So it's always really a great, great pleasure. Today we have not a big program, but really a huge program. So I will try to have constantly your attention and your focus. And please, once again, stop me in every moment if you need to ask a question, or if you need to go deeper in a topic, a specific topic. Don't be crazy writing everything from the slides, because all these slides and even more are available for you. I mean, you can, if you have a stick, you can already copy them, or through our friends and colleagues of Biomedico, you will have everything. So you know that Guna is copyleft. It doesn't have any copyright, so everything it's mine actually is yours. If you are used to take notes, obviously take notes, but don't be crazy to try to reproduce all the different schemes we have. And okay, why I am so thrilled to be here for the third time in Ireland? Because in the last 2-3 years, low-dose medicine and Guna went into a new phase of their history. That is the phase of evidences. I mean, you know that in medicine, you exist only if you publish, and possibly if you publish well in indexed and impact journals. Today, we have 21 publications in international journals, all of them indexed and impact. So we knew even 20 years ago that our ideas were strong. We had the evidence on the field about the efficacy and even more effectiveness of our medications and protocols. But now we have also the evidences. So today, I will focus on these evidences. Since I know that some of them, some of you are friends, many times attended this type of lectures, but other ones are attending the seminar for the first time, I will try to mix something for beginners and something also for experts. But the fil rouge in French will be the evidence from the studies. 20, because yesterday I have been informed that the last one have been published, so 21 preclinical and clinical trials published on those type of journals. And we will see also over 20 overviews and reviews. I know that what is important are the preclinical studies and the clinical trials, but please take a look also on the over 20 overviews and reviews. Why? Because if an editor decides to publish an overview on what you are doing, it means that in the world people are speaking about you. And we are very honored to have over 20 of these overviews and reviews. This is something I like because it's a good look. They are only some of the journals which publish our researches. And you will see that really we apply this type of research in several different fields. For instance, in allergology, and I start from this journal because it was in 2009 the first publication. So you know the first one is always very special. Pulmonary Pharmacology and Therapeutics, which is maybe the most important journal in the field of allergic asthma. And they publish a preclinical study on the use of interleukin-12 and gamma interferon in an animal model of allergic asthma. Later on, I will show you the structure of the study and the results. But we have been engaged also in oncology with all the respect we have to have for this specialty. 3 papers, Journal of Cancer Therapy, even in this case, a preclinical ex vivo study about the effect of interleukin-12 in non-small cell lung carcinoma. A very interesting theory because in those patients we will see there is an upregulation of a specific T lymphocyte subset, Treg. Since these Treg lymphocytes are upregulated, they downregulate both Th1 cell-mediated immune response and Th2 humoral immune response. So, if you look at the blood of cancer patients, the problem is that they are very severely immune depressed, and they are immune depressed because of this exuberance of Treg. How can we stop, regulate, downregulate Treg? Interleukin-12. So that was the structure. International Immunopharmacology and Translational Oncology, they published 2 our studies on early stage colorectal carcinoma using gamma interferon for the recruitment of natural killer cells and the association of interleukin-4 and interleukin-12, always in those type of patients, to enhance the activity of dendritic cells in presenting cancer antigen to T naive. That means to improve the immune response. In the last 2-3 years, we have been also very involved in dermatology with important publications, Dermatological Science, Journal of Biological Regulators. Der Autarzt, it is the journal of the German Society of Dermatology, and we publish both preclinical and clinical trials on psoriasis and vitiligo. And especially for vitiligo, I want to focus your attention that at this moment doesn't exist any effective therapy for those poor patients. Just think that for vitiligo, the gold standard therapy is considered as the microphototherapy, UVB 311 nanometers. In other terms, they only try to tan the lesion. But starting from the point of view that vitiligo is an autoimmune disorder, we have shown how using some low-dose medications, we will see which ones, we are able to reach a repigmentation between 74 and 90% in these patients. That means a new hope for these poor patients. Very good results also in psoriasis, but we will speak a lot about that. We have published also in cardiology using low-dose medications in the stable coronary disease. Very interesting model of clinical trial, because in this case we approach this severe disease, the stable coronary disease, in overlapping with conventional treatment. I mean acetyl salicylic acid and all clopidogrel plus statin. But discovering that adding interleukin-10 as anti-inflammatory medication, the percentage of acute coronary disease, heart attack, decreased from 16% in the group treated only with conventional medications, acetyl salicylic acid plus statin, to 5.6% using also interleukin-10 in terms of management of low-grade chronic inflammatory processes that in these patients always we have. We publish also in ophthalmology, for instance, retinal atrophy and central serous chorioretinopathy. We publish in the field of gastroenterology, in gastroenterology research is the journal, about the use of anti-interleukin-1 and interleukin-10 low dose in a model of Crohn's disease. We publish in rheumatology. I mean, today we will see really a lot. And I will try also to show you our approach combining low-dose medications plus food supplements, and a big news, I think also in your country, the possibility to have some injectables that are medical device collagen-based, and we publish on this paper about this journal, a paper about the treatment of knee osteoarthritis using medical device knee. You will learn why is this line versus hyaluronic acid. So the evidence absolutely are the present now. And just to have for you, I will also put in my slides all the title of the different publications. These are the two publications just accepted and in press. This is a clinical trial, very, very complex, on atopic dermatitis using gamma interferon, interleukin-12, and drainage. And the last one, they were written and submitted, but already accepted and in press, treatment of rheumatoid arthritis with low-dose SKA compared to standard treatment. This is a great, great publication because we have shown that the combination of some interleukins, anti-interleukin-1, interleukin-10, and interleukin-4, are not only not inferior than DMARDs, but a little superior in terms of effect. So you can keep low the activity of the disease not using corticosteroids in those patients. I mean, they are really big, big results. So Now we also have the evidence. And believe me, it's really the entrance in a new era. But our effort in research is continuous, and we have many work ongoing, and some of them are in pipeline. That's the reason why my life is a little crazy, because from one side you have to follow personally all these works, and the other side you have also to speak about them. But it's something really exciting, because I can tell you that everywhere in the world, in the United States, in Russia, in the United Kingdom, in Ireland, everywhere, there is a so big interest about this new approach to medicine. Beside our publications, as I told you, over 20 between overviews and reviews, just to have a look, just to see how many they are. I just want to highlight your attention on expert opinion on pharmacotherapy, that for people like me involved in pharmacology is something like the Bible. It's the Bible of pharmacology. And we had the honor to be overviewed about the possibility to use low-dose cytokines in the treatment of vitiligo. And once again, if the editors of expert opinion on pharmacotherapy decide to overview your studies, it means that something huge is happening in the field of pharmacology. So we are in a very good position now. A big involvement, I don't know if someone of you are pediatricians, big involvement in clinical studies in pediatrics, atopic dermatitis, respiratory recurrent infections, prevention of cold and flu. I mean, really many studies. This is the journal of the Italian Society of Preventive and Social Pediatrics. It's an official organ of the Italian Society of Pediatrics. Why I'm showing you these type of journals? Because it's true that as Guna, that means low-dose medicine, we come from complementary alternative medicine field. We come from homeopathy. But thanks to the low-dose medicine, no more barriers between the so-called conventional medicine, allopathy, and complementary alternative medicine. Now, doctors, professors everywhere in the world are thinking in terms of just one medicine, because we don't speak the language that only as homeopaths we can understand. Miasm, dilution, succussion. But we speak the conventional language, even though we are speaking about an homeopathic approach. And now we have these publications. This is once again, something huge, because I don't know in your country, but in my country, in Italy, homeopathy is under trial. And we are among friends. Maybe they also are right, because if you don't produce publications, you don't exist in this world that is medicine. I cannot say, I have treated one patient with lung carcinoma, now he's okay. Why? I don't know. It's okay if we speak, you and I, but I cannot put my face on a stage without the data. So, thanks to low-dose medicine, even homeopathy is jumping to another level of acceptance. It's something huge for all of us. I started 25 years ago when we didn't have not 20 studies, even one study. The idea was very strong, but how many difficulties I found. Now everything is easy, because who can say it's not true when you see a number? When you have preclinical studies, I love so much preclinical studies on cells or animal model. Because you know, when you speak about complementary alternative medicine, there is always the stupid one who says, yes, it's a placebo effect. First of all, placebo effect, there is every time you use any medication. But how can you explain the placebo effect on a mouse or on a cell? So that's very important, the passage through the preclinical studies. So this is our big effort in this field. Also, for what it concerns the food supplements, the most part of our products have been tested in clinical trials. Okay, these are all the references you will find in the slides. But I also wanted to add to my slides these other slides. For instance, this is British Medical Journal, Annals of Rheumatic Disease. And look what the word, I mean not only Guna, what the word he's focusing on. Rapid induction of clinical remission by low-dose interleukin-2 in a patient with refractory SLE. I mean, all the world he's thinking now in terms of low dose. We are all our life speaking in terms of low dose. Now we call our medications low-dose medications. 10 years ago, we called them homeopathic medication. But if you call this medication homeopathic medication, you will be shot. If you use the term low-dose medication, they speak about you. So it's also very important to use the right terms. But this is the trend of the new pharmacology. And honestly, as Guna has physiological regulating medicine, we are the pioneers of the low-dose medicine. And for me, believe me, it's the most beautiful thing to see when something that is yours is not more yours. It's of everybody. Annals of Rheumatic Diseases are speaking about what we have been saying for a long time. These are other papers on, in this case, low-dose interleukin-2 for the treatment of that severe disease. So it's not only something ours. This is the most important thing. Just to highlight once again the big path we have done from the beginning, this is the Center for the Study of the Biological Effect of Nanoconcentration of the University of Milan. Our company is located in Milan, and the Statal University of Milan decided to establish a center for the study of our medication. And they were the same professors that 15 years ago they said, ha, 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 laughing about us. Now they are studying, and they established a department. I don't know in your country, but in Italy it's something huge again. And also several universities decide to teach doctors in terms of post-grade courses about low-dose medicine. For instance, University La Sapienza in Rome, that is the biggest university in Europe, low-dose medicine in musculoskeletal disorders and rehabilitative medicine. University of Siena, Tuscany, low-dose medicine in rheumatology. These are all the post-grade courses in pediatrics in different universities in Italy, Parma, Novara, Torino. And these are second-level masters. I think it's the same also in Ireland. The second-level masters is the highest level of post-grade courses into the universities. This is the University of Verona, low-dose medicine in psycho-neuroendocrine immunology. Low-dose medicine and homotoxicology is the first time that the terms invented by Reykjavik has been recognized by a university in the world. I mean, homotoxicology is not more something of the field of homeopathy. Now is inside of any university. University Guglielmo Marconi, another university in Rome, anti-aging and preventive medicine with low-dose medicine. So, really, we are facing something new in the panorama of medicine, and I can say that really we are facing a paradigm shift in medicine. And we are really very, very thrilled about that. This is the pathway we will take together today. I will adapt, actually, my lecture to your needs, to your questions. So this is what we have to do, but maybe the path will be even a little different. For sure, I will start stressing you about the use of low-dose signaling molecules, which are neuropeptides, cytokines, hormones, and growth factors, because they are the core of our medicine. But also, I will match them with the use of some food supplements. I will focus your attention on the mother of every disease, which is inflammation. And having the possibility to treat especially the low-grade chronic systemic inflammation, which is the base of the 80% of the diseases, you will be in the position to approach in a new way the most part of your patients. You know that I am a little fixed and in love with drainage, so I will give you some hints about the father of every therapy. If inflammation is the mother of all the diseases, drainage is the father of every therapy. Just to cite Hans-Erik Reckeweg, the father of homotoxicology, one day he said, "A good drainage is an half of a good therapy." Never a quote was more exact than that. You have experience, you know that when you start draining a patient, Guna matrix, Guna lympho, the conditions start immediately to change. You put the body, the organism of your patient in the position to respond in the best way to the specific treatment you are going to apply. And speaking about our researches, I will speak about rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, gout. I'm always, goat is another thing, okay. I'm always afraid to say goat instead of gout. Crohn's disease, recurrent respiratory infections, and so on. And obviously, I also hope for a nice discussion altogether. Low-dose medicine, just to attract your attention on the different approach to the patient, which is the most important target of our activity with low-dose medicine. Why it is so charming in this case, medicine? First of all, because with low-dose medicine, really, we try at least to cure the human being and not just the disease. You will see that the first principle of low-dose medicine is every disease is a systemic disease. I mean, even though you are treating the liver, you have to treat the mind. Even though you are a psychiatrist, you have to treat the bowel. So please treat the human being and not just the disease. We try to act on the deep causes of a disease and not just on symptoms. In fact, we have the possibility through our medications, cytokines, neuropeptides, hormones, to act on the psychoneuroendocrine network that is the big brother which controls our body. So really we can say we act for sure on the symptoms, but even more on the cause, on the alteration of the PNEI axis. And last but not least, we are fixed, considering the human being has a whole mind body, and considering the human being in his individuality. You can see that behind these three quotes, there is this triangle. Always during today, when I will share with you some clinical protocols, I will always refer to this triangle that is called the triangle of therapy. We think that combining a good drainage and detoxification, 50% of a good therapy, plus the psycho-neuro-endocrine immune rebalance. Every disease starts from an alteration in the crosstalk between the three main homeostatic control systems: central nervous system and autonomic system, endocrine system, immune system. Everything starts from that alteration. We have the possibility to restore a good balance in that axis. So, to treat the causes and not only the symptoms, to treat the whole mind-body condition of the human being, we need to match the blue part, drainage and detoxification, with the yellow part, the PNEI rebalancing. For sure, our medications work very well also in the symptom treatment. But since I love the approach of overlapping, please, for the treatment of symptoms, also consider the allopathic medication, because in some cases you cannot not to use corticosteroids, for instance. What is important is to use all the possibilities you have in the right way. Today, especially, I will focus on the blue part and the yellow part. That means the possibility to act on the deep causes of the disease. This is an example. So we are going to do the first jump into a clinical application. And among the different possibility of examples, I took the allergy. Why? Because 20% of the world population, so also in Ireland, are allergic. 2 every 10 of your patients are allergic. What can we do? We will see a new approach. In case of respiratory allergy, mandatory, always consider to drain the patient. You can see here now, for some of you, the new friends are only names, Guna matrix and Guna bowel. Now we are going to see in details what they are. Guna matrix clean the body. Just have this image of Guna matrix. It is able to act on the most important tissue we have in our body, the extracellular matrix. When you were at the university, you studied the extracellular matrix with the name of connective tissue. Now he is called microenvironment or extracellular matrix. Why it's so important to clean, detoxify, and drain the extracellular matrix? First of all, because this tissue is everywhere in our body. And it is between the cell and this is a cell, this is the extracellular matrix, this is a blood capillary. So the extracellular matrix is between the internal cell environment and the external environment. Everything happens into the cell before happening in the extracellular matrix. And why it is so important in low-dose medicine? Because we use as medications neuropeptides, hormones, cytokines, and all these substances are released in the extracellular matrix. And they have to travel through the extracellular matrix to arrive to the transmembrane receptor of the cell, bringing the right information to the cell. But, unfortunately, It is not only the most important tissue we have, it is also the tissue where we store, deposit the toxins. And this deposition of toxins changes the histology of the extracellular matrix, making the extracellular matrix, instead of smooth, allowing the passages of all the substances, it makes the extracellular matrix thick as a brick. And being so thick, it will not more allow the passage of signaling molecules. So, if you want to have a success using mainly low-dose medications, but in general also other type of medications, Guna matrix is mandatory. That's the reason why, just to have an idea, in the world, Guna matrix is our bestseller medication. Because when a doctor understands the role played by the extracellular matrix, immediately he understands that Guna matrix can be a booster for every therapy. In the case of respiratory allergy, and we will learn this combination, you can see that in the triangle of the therapy is also suggested Guna bowel. Why we combine matrix and bowel? And you know that first of all, the gut is the PNEI microcosmos of our body. And already the Chinese medicine, the acupuncture, understood the relationships between, for instance, gut and lungs. If you don't treat the gut, it's very hard to treat a lung disease. That's the reason why we drain the bowel when we go to approach a respiratory allergy. Instead, if the allergy is not a respiratory allergy, but an atopic dermatitis, Guna bowel is not so important. According to also Chinese medicine, we prefer to treat the liver. So, always matrix, because matrix is everywhere. And according to the different diseases, we combine other different medications. You can see this medication, Guna Allergy Prev. That is the medication specific to rebalance the psychoneuroendocrine immune system in respiratory allergy. You will see why, which is the composition of this medication to do that. So, please, let's go focusing for a second, even though we already have done that, our attention on Guna matrix. This is, in a better way, what I did on the flip chart, okay? Much better. Blood capillaries. In green, lymphatic capillaries. If the direction in the blood capillaries is this one, in lymphatic capillaries is this one. I mean, these are structured to unload the overload of toxins. It's easy to understand that if we don't have a good lymphatic circulation, we will keep into the extracellular matrix, this blue part, all the toxins. This is the extracellular matrix. By an histologic point of view, it's interesting. 90% of this tissue has done by water, 10% by proteins, glycosaminoglycans, proteoglycans, and mucopolysaccharides. We have also cells, for instance, into the derma, fat cells. We have fibers. We have in the extracellular matrix immune competent cells. So it's really a living tissue. And you can see the transmembrane receptors. It's very important always, always, always to keep clean the extracellular matrix. Otherwise, how can the signaling molecules, but also the oxygen, also the nutrients arrive to the cell, bringing to the cell the right instructions for the biological function of the cell. Look that if I had the possibility to look inside of your body, in your extracellular matrix, I wouldn't see a clean extracellular matrix, a smooth extracellular matrix, such as in a kid. In a kid, it is smooth, it is pink, it is very hydrated. If I look at the extracellular matrix of your grandparents, it will be brown, it will be thick, it will be dehydrated. That's the passage for the alteration in the histology of the extracellular matrix for aging. So if you want to be young and beautiful, first of all, drain the matrix. I always say that I realize, especially in women, when they are under treatment with Guna matrix, by the skin. The skin changes immediately, and it's very, very easy to understand why. Consider that this is the skin, subcutaneous tissue, derma, which is the extracellular matrix of the skin, epidermis. If you have a toxic derma, no more vitamins, no more oxygen, no more beta-estradiol, for instance. Beta-estradiol that you women produce more than we men is the hormone able to feed the fat cells that you have in big number in the derma. Beta-estradiol has a liposynthetic activity. It means that it is able to feed the fat cell, taking the fat cells hypertrophic. And why you need to have hypertrophic fat cells? Because fat cells, together with collagen fibers, are the bioscaffold which sustain the superficial layers of the skin. If you don't feed the fat cells, allowing the beta-estradiol passing through the extracellular matrix, arriving to the fat cells, instead of to be hypertrophic, will be hypotrophic. They will not provide more a good bioscaffold in the derma, and the superficial layers of the skin will collapse on the derma. Which is the name of the collapse of epidermis on the derma? Wrinkle. The first passage to counteract the skin aging is clean the matrix. You will realize immediately. And this is just the first little thing about Guna matrix. But since we are here not only to speak about skin aging, even though skin is not only something that which covers our body, it is also very tightly connected with the brain. If we don't see ourselves in a good shape, our mood goes down. So it's not only something aesthetic. But just think of the importance of the extracellular matrix. Excuse me if I'm stressing you on this, but this is the secret of homeopathy, homotoxicology, low-dose medicine. In conventional medicine, no one takes care of the extracellular matrix. When I was at the university, they teach the extracellular matrix to me as the connective tissue. Excuse me, professor, which is the function of this connective tissue? Nothing. It has just to sustain the parenchymas. Ah, okay. Okay, and I keep it. No. Look, this is an extracellular matrix, okay? These are cells. This is a blood capillary. Through the blood capillary, lipids, proteins, vitamins, all the nutrients, oxygen. Where the oxygen is released? In the extracellular matrix. If you have a toxic matrix, all of you have a toxic matrix because You are over 20, yeah, maybe more or less, yes. Okay, good. So the level of loading in terms of toxins is already very high. Your matrix is not smooth. It's rigid. There is not a prevalence of sol condition, but unfortunately, there is a prevalence of gel condition. We use the term gelification of the extracellular matrix. Why? Because sometimes you go to McDonald's. Why? Because when you are walking on the streets of Dublin, you are breathing naphthoquinones. Because sometimes you inject synthetic drugs and so on. If oxygen doesn't arrive to a cell, the cell, just think in terms of oxygen. The cell, in order to survive, changes its metabolism from aerobic metabolism to anaerobic metabolism. Yes, but it's not so easy. Okay, I click this button, anaerobic metabolism. To live in conditions of anaerobism, the cell needs to differentiate itself from normal cell to fibroblast. And what the fibroblast is a less vital cell. And there is a beautiful paper about this. If in a culture you keep a fibroblast for 30 days, providing only 50% of oxygen, the following step of differentiation of the fibroblast will be a cell that we don't love. It's the cancer cell. Which is the metabolism in a cancer cell? Aerobic or anaerobic? Completely anaerobic. That's a bastard because it can survive in anaerobism. So you can understand that if you don't clean the matrix, it will be very difficult to approach, by a metabolic point of view, a cancer patient. So I wanted to speak about something related to aesthetics and something related to the worst disease, maybe, cancer. Always everything passes through the cell, extracellular matrix. We have the most beautiful medication for that. I would be already satisfied if after this seminar you will take home just one message. Clean the matrix. Use the Guna matrix as the deeper cleaner of our body. This is a multi-component, as you can see, medication. And why it is so able to clean the matrix? It is due to the presence of those three ingredients. Interleukin-6, pyrogenium hyaluronidase. We are in the field of molecular biology, in the field of classical homeopathy. Pyrogenium is an ozode. I know that some of you are homeopaths, so you know very well. Hyaluronidase, we are in the field of enzymology. This is the beauty of low-dose pharmacology. We mix different approaches. Why interleukin-6 is able to clean the matrix, my friends? Interleukin-6, together with pyrogenium, who is a homeopath in this room? No one? Okay, you. Perfect. We are friends, so we know each other. Why? What is, first of all, pyrogenium?
It's putrefied.
Exactly. It is obtained by putrefaction, you say putrefaction, of cow flesh. Okay, so we know by homeopathic materia medica that pyrogenium is able to induce inflammatory processes. But at Guna Laboratories, we study the homeopathic remedies by a molecular biology point of view. Pyrogenium is very, very rich, and this is, Hahnemann didn't know that. He was a genius because he understood everything, not knowing molecular biology. It's easy for us to say what I'm going to say. Pyrogenium, obtained by putrefaction of cow flesh, is rich of lipopolysaccharides, especially lipopolysaccharides of the cell membrane of gram-positive and negative bacteria. That's the reason why pyrogenium works that way. Lipopolysaccharides stimulate some cells to produce interleukin-1 and interleukin-6. You will see in a couple of hours that they are the strongest interleukins able to start the inflammatory process. But if you inflame a tissue and look that the field of the battle of inflammation is the extracellular matrix. If you inflame in a physiological way, in a controlled way, why physiological and controlled? Because the antigens, lipopolysaccharides, I mean pyrogenium, is in 12 decimal dilution. It's not so concentrated to induce a big inflammation, but a controlled inflammation. But sufficient for what? Sufficient to burn toxins. And we need to counteract this overload of toxins with the only way Mother Nature gave to us, that is inflaming, burning these toxins. That's the reason why we use pyrogenium and interleukin-6. But besides this concept of inducing inflammation, that means burning toxins, I want to burn that bastard overload of toxins in my body. Thanks to molecular biology, we also know that these two pro-inflammatory cytokines, if produced in low dose by our body, are able to activate some enzymes named MMPs, metalloproteases. Metalloproteases. Metalloproteases are enzymes working in a very similar way to hyaluronidases, able to digest the proteins of the extracellular matrix. If you digest, hydrolyze the proteins of the extracellular matrix, you will be inducing a prevalent sole condition of the fundamental substance of the extracellular matrix. That is exactly the condition of the ECM in kids. I mean, if you have a smooth extracellular matrix, you will allow the overload of toxins to go through the lymphatic capillary for the final detoxification of the extracellular matrix. If you have an extracellular matrix thick, this mechanism will not allow. Beside the activation of metalloproteases, we also have in Guna matrix hyaluronidase, which is the enzyme able to digest hyaluronic acid. And hyaluronic acid is one of the protein, mucopolysaccharides, proteoglycans of the matrix. You understand why it works. It's really so interesting. It contains also the hydroepiandrosterone. That's interesting, eh? The hydroepiandrosterone, precursor of pregnenolone, precursor of steroid hormones. That's the reason why your patients using Guna matrix from one side will be more detoxified. From the other side, will refer to you that they feel a better tone, a better energy. And especially men will tell you about a side effect that they will love so much, that is an increase in the sex drive. So advise them, look, that you can have this side effect. Normally they say, okay, no problem. I will not say anything to the authorities. Okay, interesting. If you have patients, this is off of records, not off of records, I mean, it's something more. If you have patients with hypothyroidism, for even Hashimoto's, we have quite a good experience in Hashimoto's with this type of values, especially TSH over 3 and under 10, okay? This is the ratio where we can really do very well. This value of TSH. That means that the thyroid is still working. It means that you don't need levothyroxine from out. More, if you give levothyroxine to this type of patients, bye-bye, because the thyroid will say, okay, I don't have more to produce levothyroxine because someone gave it to me. Instead, these values means the thyroid can still work. So, we need to stimulate the thyroid. So, in hypothyroidism, not autoimmune based, I mean not Hashimoto disease, we have very good results with Guna matrix. Why? Tyrosine, phenylalanine, histidine. They are the 3 amino acids precursors of 3-iodotyronine and levothyroxine, the precursors. And for my friends homeopaths, Guna matrix contains Fucus vesiculosus, that in phytotherapy and also in homeopathy is the strongest plant to stimulate thyroid. So, Guna matrix give tone to the patients because of also a stimulation of thyroid activity. Please, always inside an homeostatic range. In hypothyroidism, not Hashimoto's, we are used to combine matrix, for the reason you see, plus Guna lympho. Why Guna lympho? Hey, Alessandro, but Guna lympho is the medication to increase the flow in the lymphatic vessels. I don't understand. If you look at the composition of Guna lympho, you will find an ingredient that is crucial, and that ingredient is levothyroxine. Levothyroxine 12-AX. So you are providing levothyroxine in physiological low dose to compensate the deficiency of levothyroxine. If your patient is close in terms of blood test to 10 of TSH, we boost Guna matrix plus Guna lympho with the single, that's very interesting, hormone, Guna T4, that is levothyroxine. I mean, we boost the levothyroxine inside of Guna lympho with the single levothyroxine. If the picture of your patient is an hypothyroidism due to Hashimoto disease, I mean, I'm speaking about a low-grade chronic inflammatory disease based on autoimmunity, we need, first of all, to keep under control the continuous chronic inflammatory process in that patient. And to do that, we use the association. You will understand why later, but till now take a note. anti-interleukin 1 plus interleukin 10 plus interleukin 4, which are the three under the form of Guna, anti-interleukin 1, Guna interleukin 10, Guna interleukin 4, the first two, the strongest interleukins to calm down the inflammatory process. And interleukin 4, you will learn later this afternoon, he is the interleukin able to keep under control the autoimmunity, which is due to an overexpression of a specific T lymphocyte subset named Th17. With this protocol, you will allow your patient not to be under levothyroxine. A few days ago, a friend of mine, young lady, I mean 40, 45, after 7 years of treatment, exactly this treatment, she is not under levothyroxine. And her endocrinologist said, okay, we have to start Utirox. I don't know if the same name, commercial name here. Anyway, levothyroxine. What's the name?
Carbamazole, is
Ah, I don't know. We
going high is when the level of TSH is.
well, okay, if it's over 10 or under 3, it's difficult to have the same results. This is the range. But permit me, this is the range of TSH of the 80% of patients will come to your consultation. It's the gray zone where you don't know if to start with levothyroxine or not. In this case, and this is the majority, is the majority. It's the same of patients with osteoarthritis with the Kellgren-Lawrence scale, stage 2 and 3. It's the majority of patients with osteoarthritis. When you don't know if you start with corticosteroids or not. That's exactly the frame to treat with this way. Okay, so remember Guna matrix. We are speaking of drainage in allergic diseases. I like this slide because it shows that if you don't have a good drainage, all the extracellular matrix will be full of toxins. So our body, in order to counteract this overload, will be obliged to inflame itself. And another hint, those patients that you see every day in your offices, they don't have a specific disease, but they are tired, they have skin rashes, low libido, they are a little overweight. They have those symptoms which are called vague and indefinite. And they are a lot. According to a survey of the Italian Society of GPs, 70% of consultations in Italy are due to that. And doctors don't know what to do. Sometimes they give antidepressants. They are only intoxicated. Being intoxicated, in order to counteract this overload, they are obliged to inflame themselves because the body has only that tool, inflammation, to burn toxins. But being inflamed, they show inflammatory symptomatology. So draining from the bottom the extracellular matrix, opening the faucets, you will not ask the body to inflame itself in order to keep clean the matrix. I mean, it's important to go inside of the concept of extracellular matrix, and the only medication in the world is really Guna matrix able to do that. It's interesting to remember also the anatomy, no? I know you know very well, but just in 30 seconds to remind to you. All the lymphatic capillaries all over the body will arrive to the lymphatic duct in the center of the chest. Lymphatic duct, left subclavia vein, laterally than the jugular. And the toxins that at the beginning were in the extracellular matrix. Then, thanks to Guna matrix, now are in the lymphatic capillaries and thoracic duct, to allow a good passage through these capillaries, you can combine Guna matrix plus Guna lympho. Look, Guna matrix in part also work as Guna lympho. Why? Because I show you the composition. It contains lymphatic vessel. So in one medication you have two medications. But if Guna matrix also does the work of Guna lympho doesn't do the work of Guna matrix. So if you have to choose one, choose Guna matrix always. So matrix, lymphatic vessel, thoracic duct, blood circulation. Now, to have the final excretion of toxins, you have to activate specific organ of excretions. Which are these organ of excretions? They are the skin, please don't use the skin. The lungs, please don't use the lungs. The bowel, yes, you can use that. The liver, yes, you can use that. The kidneys, yes, you can use that. Since we are speaking about allergy and we are built together the complete therapy according to the triangle of the therapy, which are the medication to combine to the mother of all the drainant medications, Guna matrix. If you are treating a patient with respiratory allergies or food intolerance and allergies, please combine Guna matrix with Guna bowel. If you are treating a patient with atopic dermatitis, please combine Guna matrix plus Guna liver. Normally, in the treatment of allergic patients, we don't work acting on kidneys. This is an old secret from the old homotoxicologist also. So, in terms of complete drainant program in your patients with allergies, always Guna matrix, 20 drops twice a day for at least 2-4 months consecutively. Look at less than 2, but I recommend you 4 months, especially if they are adults. And combine matrix plus bowel, same administration, if respiratory allergies. Matrix plus liver, I made a mistake. Guna liver is not in drops, it is in pellets. So 5 pellets twice a day for 2 to 4 months. And in this case, 50% of the therapy will be done. It means that you will have an improvement of 50% also in the symptomatology, and you are acting only in a specific way. But if you will learn about the drainage, the biggest part will be done. This is Guna bowel. We will study also later Guna bowel about how to act on the gut mucosa. And this is Guna liver. I want to spend a couple of words on Guna liver because now I'm presenting you this very important medication as a liver and gallbladder drainant medication. But it is also a medication to be used in your patient with liver diseases, especially when you have hepatic damage caused by alcohol, when you have NASH, when you have liver insufficiency in general. Okay? Why in steatohepatitis? Because it contains these catalysts, Krebs cycle intermediate, fumaric acidum, which increase the triglyceride hydrolysis. So in patients with steatohepatitis, both alcoholic or not alcoholic, when you have hepatic damage caused by alcohol, I really recommend you this medication. If the picture of the patient is severe in terms of liver insufficiency, we are used to combine Guna liver plus Guna cell. Guna cell. Guna cell is a medication in drops, so 20 drops twice a day, plus Guna liver, 5 pellets twice a day for cycles of at least 2 to 4 months, okay? In Guna cell, you have Krebs cycle intermediates which stimulate the mitochondria respiration, okay? The oxidative phosphorylation. But why Guna cell has also always to be considered when you face a degenerative disease? It contains Podophyllum peltatum, Conium maculatum, Viscum album, methylglyoxal, which are in homeopathy and homotoxicology the strongest homeopathic remedies with anti-degenerative and anti-neoplastic action. So, when you want to stop the possible progression of a degenerative disease, not only of the liver, always think of Guna cell. You know that the progression of hepatic damage caused by alcohol is cirrhosis and then liver carcinoma. What can we do to counteract this progression, metaplasia, dysplasia, neoplasia? Considering Guna cell and the specific medication with specific tropism for the organ. Since we are speaking about liver cirrhosis, Guna liver. Okay, this is the scheme we use always to drain the patient according to the disease he's living. I wanted to highlight your attention on these medications because really you can help so much your patient. And they can be very easily understood by homeopaths and not homeopaths. Okay, good. Now our patient is perfectly drained. And in this part of the lecture, we have learned how to drain in general a patient. But the deep cause, and this is the most important part, the deep cause of the allergy is here. Allergy is an immune disease. I would like to say is a psycho-neuroendocrine disease, because also the mind is involved, and you know very well in an allergic patient. We know the role played by 5-hydroxytryptophan, for instance, precursor of serotonin. What can we do? I want to be very direct with you. Conventional pharmacology gives us wonderful medication for treatment of allergic diseases. Antihistaminic, corticosteroid, or the specific immune therapy, the allergic vaccines. But, and please, doesn't exist anything else. Because you can tell me, hey, Alessandro, I think that APIs can be related to an antihistaminic or corticosteroid. Look, if you have an edema of the glottid, you say glottid?
Tonsils.
Okay, tonsils. Because of an anaphylactic reaction, and you try to treat your patient with APIs, for instance, can be very dangerous, ready with corticosteroids or adrenaline. But the real problem of that patient. What the same allergologist called the original sin of the allergic patients, is the immune disorder. Is that instead of to have an immune system, we will see Th1, Th2 balanced, he has an unbalanced. Please, can you tell me the name of an allopathic medication able to work on the imbalance between Th1 and Th2? Doesn't exist. The only medications available on the world pharmaceutical market to reestablish the homeostasis between Th1 and Th2 are the Guna medications. So it's true that thanks to low-dose pharmacology, we can act on the deep causes of the disease. The deep cause of an allergy is here, is not on the degranulation of mast cell releasing histamine. That's the last step. Please use antihistaminic and then you drain your patient. I don't know. But we want to try at least to free the patient from his original sin. So this is the picture of 20% of your patients who are allergic. Premise: this is a very easy representation of our immune system with the two principal T helper subsets, Th1, Th2. Th1 are involved in cell-mediated immune response. If they are overexpressed, they become responsible of inflammatory diseases. Th2, they are normally involved in humoral immune response. If overexpressed, this case in allergy, this picture, they are responsible of what? Of allergic diseases. So it's easy already for you to understand, hey Alessandro, what do we have to do to reestablish the homeostasis? It's easy. You have to push up Th1 and to push down Th2. Yes, easy. How can I push up and push down? There is an only possibility to do that. You know why? What is that possibility? Cells, including immune cells, are like women. We know how difficult it is to deal with women. Yes, because you need to find the right language. And you also have to find the right volume of that language. Look, that there are some words in our immune dictionary which are Th1, wake up. And there are other words, they are not English, Italian, French, able to tell Th2, speaking them in the same way than to speaking to women. Hey, please, calm down. They are interleukins. Interleukins are the words used by the cells to talk each other. We know exactly which are, and they are, we will see. Interleukin 12 is the word, Th1, wake up. And gamma interferon, that is the word able to tell Th2, hey guys, calm down. It's easy to understand that if you will combine interleukin 12 and gamma interferon in this type of picture, the result will be the recovery of immune homeostasis. That's the only way to act on the original scene of the allergy. Okay, is it clear? This is a very important passage. I need your consensus. Are you inside of this matter? Good. So let's go to see the pathophysiology of allergy. Otherwise, we will be not able to use in the right way the words, the cytokines. In allergy, we have an upregulation of Th2. This is a mantra. Allergy is a Th2 disease. Okay. If Th2 are working too much, like in your 20% allergic patients, they produce too much of interleukin-5. Why it is a problem? Because interleukin-5, they are other words. They are able to speak to eosinophils, telling them, hey guys, work. You know that eosinophils are responsible of the chronicity of an allergy. Th2 also produce another even more important cytokine, that is interleukin-4. Why it is so crucial? Because interleukin-4 is the word able to tell B lymphocytes, hey guys, instead of to produce only 2% of IgE, let's go producing a storm of IgE. And they start producing a storm of IgE. What do IgE does? They sensitize mast cells or basophils, for instance, and you have the sensitization of your patients. Second contact with the allergen is the signal, hey, mast cell, release histamine. You release histamine and you have the symptomatology. When you use antihistaminic, you are only working on the last step of the allergic march. But isn't your dream not to treat all life long your patient, but to cure your patient, maybe sometimes definitively? That's the reason why we act here, telling Th2, please take a break. Don't work so much. This is what we try to do. And to do that, we apply the concept of cross-regulation between TH subsets. This is the famous paper of Cook and Bettelli, 2006, Review of Diabetic Studies, and Bettelli, Current Opinion on Immunology. And I have to thank every day these two guys, because they explain us that Th1 and Th2 control each other. And they control speaking each other with the language of cytokines, which is the only language our cells are able to understand. And Th1 produce several interleukins, but two are very, very important. Interleukin-12, able to stimulate T-naïf to differentiate into Th1. And this is the real cross-regulation, gamma interferon, which is able to down-regulate Th2. So you are already understanding that if the allergy is due to an overexpression of Th2 and a lower expression of Th1, if we give interleukin-12 to the patient, we will increase Th1. If we provide interferon gamma to the patient, we will downregulate Th2. According to something invented by Alessandro, no, it's something published, Cook and Bettelli. This is the strategy to act on the original scene of the allergic patient and free him. So, interleukin 12 and gamma interferon. If you like the concept of the scale, the balance, you can see, once again, interleukin 12 stimulating Th1, gamma interferon stimulating blocking, you see the symbol of blockage, Th2. It will be real what I'm saying. I told you that today I would have spoken about evidences. Yes, we demonstrate what I have said to you, the use of interleukin 12 and gamma interferon to recover the balance in the allergic patient. In this paper, Pulmonary Pharmacology and Therapeutics, a very important journal, really. This is the blood of, this is an animal model, okay? This is the level, it's interesting, the level of interleukin 4 and interleukin 5, the markers of allergy, in healthy mice, the blue, and in allergic mice, the red. You can see that it's really scaring. Look the level in of interleukin 4 and interleukin 5. If you look at this blood test, you say, okay, that's an allergic subject, no question. How to treat it? We treat them with a combination of interleukin 12 and gamma interferon. And look after 13 days of treatment, 7 days of treatment in mice, 30 grams. I am 75 kilos, so more time. Okay, look. Interleukin 4 in healthy mouse. Interleukin 4 in allergic mouse. Interleukin 4 after treatment with interleukin 12 and gamma interferon in allopathic concentration. We didn't invent the cytokines. We understood which volume, which concentration to use. You can see the reduction in the expression of interleukin 4, but using allopathic concentration, Pfizer concentration, okay? Novartis concentration. The results, it's great, but mice dead. Because, you know why? Because you can understand, looking at me, Th2 overexpressed, Th1 underexpressed. Giving interleukin 12 a gamma interferon in so strong concentration, you induce this mechanism. Th2 went down, perfect. But Th1 went up. So those mice dead because of a super acute inflammatory disease, because Th1 are the mediators of inflammation. Look using Guna concentration. I mean, picograms, femtograms per milliliter, an homeopathic dilution, 4C, okay? The same results of the allopathic concentration without any side effect. Why? Because using the concentration invented not by Alessandro as the man behind the research, but by nature. I didn't invent anything. Mother Nature decided that inside of the body of this guy, interleukin 12 and gamma interferon has to be in the concentration of picogram/femtograms per milliliter, not the concentration of Novartis or Pfizer. So Guna said, excuse me, let me taking a look of what nature does and reproduce in our medication. We reproduce the nature. And in that way, we recover the right ratio between Th1, Th2 without any side effects. But for all my friends homeopaths, if you don't prepare that low dose femtograms, picograms per milliliter, according to the homeopathic procedure, dynamization, not over the Bible, as Hahnemann did, but according to the quantum physics laws, if you don't dynamize the low dose, it's water. It's water. So, thanks God, in Lipsia, in 1755, Christian Samuel Frederick Hahnemann was born. Otherwise, neither you nor me would be here, because he thought about the dynamization. So we apply the concept of homeopathy in a new way. And we have the evidence of the efficacy. Okay? So I have a lot of data about this paper. If you don't want to use the single interleukins, interleukin 12 and gamma interferon to tell Th1 and Th2 to recover their homeostasis, you can use this multi-component medication that in our laboratories we prepare, named Guna allergy prevention. Look, it contains interleukin, it's very effective, because there is the synergy of all the ingredients. It contains interleukin 12 and gamma interferon. Perfect! We are working according to the immunology. It contains Vince toxicum officinale, Vince toxicum irundinaria. Maybe you know a very beautiful medication from Hill named Engistol. It contains Vince toxicum irundinaria. Why Reykjavik, who was a genius, put inside of Engistol Vince toxicum? At Guna we discover. Because Vince toxicum is able, in culture, in cell culture, to stimulate Th1 to increase the production of gamma interferon. So you see how a plant, Vince toxicum, works together with a signaling molecules, a cytokine, which is interferon gamma. This is the new concept of Guna low-dose medicine, to combine and synergistically improve the action mechanism of different remedies. It contains also black currant bud, excuse me. Okay, why is interesting? In Italy we call it ribes nigrum. I don't know if you call ribes nigrum or black currant bud. Okay, there are very beautiful and interesting papers. We are in the era of evidences. Otherwise, I don't believe. If you don't show me a paper, I don't believe. Blackcurrant pro-anthocyanidins augment interferon gamma-induced suppression of interleukin 4. That's the reason why in phytotherapy they use ribes nigrum, blackcurrant bud. But I like to study all the medications. This way, understanding the action mechanism. That's the reason why Dr. Bianchi and I, formulating Guna allergy prev, we put blackcurrant bark together with interleukin 12, gamma interferon, and Vince toxicum irundinaria. You can imagine that all these substances, like a team, work much better than a single fighter. This is a team of fighters against the original sin of allergy. It contains also, this is beautiful, Guna allergy prev is really a masterpiece. It contains also histaminum. You remember that the release of histamine is the last step in the allergic march. And we use in medicine antihistaminic with side effects, because you take the antihistaminic, you drive the car and you take the pillar because you are this way under antihistaminic. But which is the first principle of homeopathy? The inverting effect. Now we call the inverting effect hormesis, thanks to the study of a guy named Edward Calabrese from Massachusetts University. Which is the meaning of hormesis? The same substances that in big quantity provoke a disease, in homeopathic little quantity cure that disease. If histamine in big quantity provoke itch edema, and so on, in homeopathic quantity will cure those symptoms. And this is the famous study from Bienveniste, okay, about the activity of lung histamine in this homeopathic dilution against the granulation of basophiles. You can see that the granulation goes down according to the dilution of histamine. So absolutely homeopathic histamine acts like a very effective antihistaminic. And you have all these remedies just inside of one remedies. I mean, your patient will buy one medication, but in reality, he will be buying several medications. That's important because they cannot spend 300 euros, okay? Instead, they have in one medication the perfect concert, symphony. Fine, fine. Okay. This is, so, what can we do for your allergic patients? I wrap up because we are going to see something very new. Even my friends who attended other seminars will know what I'm going to present now about allergy. Just to wrap up. Do we have to drain your patient? Absolutely. Which is the first medication to drain? Okay, good. I like when someone answers this way. Okay. Matrix. Excuse me, I have an allergic asthma. What can I combine in terms of drainage to matrix? Bowel, perfect. Excuse me, I have an atopic dermatitis. Liver, perfect. Then I have to reestablish the right balance between Th1 and Th2. What can I do? Breath. How much? 20 drops twice a day for at least cycles of 2 to 4 months. Good. The blue part, the yellow part has been done. But there is something important to consider. Very important to consider. I want to read with you. Gut microbiota and immune modulation. How many cells do you have in your body? 10, 15, no, more. Okay. We have a precise number. I will show you the reference. It's not that a Guna we count. In our laboratory, we didn't take, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a precise number, and this number is this one. I don't know how did they do, honestly. Maybe, well, the number of cells in your body is this. 40,000 billion cells. A lot. What is unbelievable is that every cell is chatting with all the other ones. You can imagine the mess inside of your body. Everybody is talking, hey, do, stimulate that. And they use cytokines, hormones, neuropeptides to speak. It's a melting pot. But what is unbelievable is that look, each one of your 40,000 billion cells, you have 2.7 bacteria. So you have to multiply this number for 2.7, and you have the number of bacteria in your body. I mean, you have more, you also, It's not, no, I don't have bacteria. You have more bacteria than cells. I read a book. Are we controlling them, or are they controlling us? I think that they are controlling us.
They are more.
Absolutely. Just think of the gut-brain axis that everybody knows now. If you don't have a good homeostasis between the 10,000 different species of bacteria in your microbiota in the gut, and you have a prevalence of pathogens instead of commensal, not only they inflame your gut mucosa and you have IBDs, IBS, colitis in general, but changing the homeostasis of the microbiota, your gut will produce less serotonin and you will be depressed. If you look at the gut microbiota of autistic kids, they have prevalence of Candida and Clostridium subtilis. This disruption in the homeostasis of the gut microbiota make them producing less oxytocin. And oxytocin is not only the hormone that you produce women during delivery, but it is a neurohormone involved in social connection, in maternal love. That's the reason why the autistic kid doesn't want to be touched and is closing themselves. I'm not saying that the cause of autism is the dysbiosis, but it is a dramatic cause. Okay? So, my God, we cannot more not to take under control and in consideration the gut microbiota, because that gut, which is the largest surface of your body of contact with the external environment, is so involved in everything, Take care of your gut. After, drain your body, take care of your gut. Is the second thing I would like you to take home today. So, speaking about allergies, the allergic airway inflammation induced by ovoalbumin sensitization and challenge is exaggerated in germ-free mice. If you treat your patients with antibiotics, it's very possible he will become allergic, because bacteria, I will show you why, are absolutely involved in the anti-allergic mechanism. Is exaggerated in germ-free mice compared with that seen in isogenic specific pathogen-free mice. But therapy, this exaggeration is reversed by transfer, colonization of gut microbiota from specific pathogen-free mice into germ-free mice. I mean, it's absolutely important the role played by probiotics, for instance, in the treatment of allergy. And why air bacteria are so important in allergy. Look at this slide. I prepared just for you, eh? It's the first time. Okay, this is a dendritic cell. It is another type of immune cell we have in our immune system. Dendritic cells are the most important APC cells, antigen-presenting cells. The other ones are macrophages, Langerhans cells. Dendritic cells today are considered the most important one, which is, in a very easy way, the role played by APC and especially by dendritic cells. They take the antigen, they process, digest the antigen, combine with other proteins, and they expose on their surface the antigen. That's the reason why they are called antigen-presenting cell. And they present this antigen to whom? To the director of orchestra of our immune system, which is the T helper cell. We have a big number of T helper naive cells. I mean, T helper who doesn't know what to do to be Th1, Th2, Treg, according to the type of antigen presented by the APC, they become Th1, Th2, Treg, and so on. So, dendritic cell is crucial. On the dendritic cells, there are these specific membrane receptors named toll-like receptors. And especially toll-like receptor 2 and 4 are very important. Why? Because they are able, this is the point, to bind lipopolysaccharides of bacteria, gram positive and gram negative. I mean, they are able to understand if in the environment there are the good bacteria or the bad bacteria. If you don't have bacteria in your gut, the dendritic cells will be not stimulated, they will not produce interleukin 12. Maybe you are already understanding why bacteria in the gut are so important. Because they stimulate dendritic cell, which is the biggest producer of interleukin 12. Is it important, interleukin 12? My God, in allergy is super important. Why? Because interleukin 12 drives Th1 response. And interleukin 12 stimulate natural killer cells to produce what? Interferon gamma, because natural killer cells are mines of gamma interferon. So you understand very well that in this way you block the Th2 response. This is how bacteria, but in terms of pharmaceuticals, probiotics work in the treatment of allergies. If you read any magazine, everybody says to treat allergies is important the use of probiotics. Yes, tell me why. Because we are in an era now that probiotics are good for everything. Yes, but let me understand why. Please, David.
What are the low NK cell numbers?
If you have
NK cells to stimulate, how do you increase the NK cells?
Yeah, they absolutely, probiotics increase NK cells through the mechanism of interleukin 12. So you can imagine, for instance, in a patient with recurrent viral infections or cancer patient, the use of probiotics plus interleukin 12. It's perfect because you increase natural killer cells, which are the cell involved in antiviral defense or in cancer defense, anti-cancer defense. In this case, we are speaking about allergy. The intestinal permeability is increased in allergic patients, and it helps the passage of food allergy inducing protein antigens from the diet. This is the first step in the atopic march. What happens that if you don't have a good homeostasis in your gut microbiota, homeostasis between all the 10,000 different species of bacteria, you can have the prevalence of pathogens instead of commensals, and they inflame your gut mucosa. Inflaming the gut mucosa, you provoke damages in the gut layer, and all the bacteria, all the food will pass through the gut mucosa. You don't have more the barrier effect of the gut mucosa, and you have a low-grade, continuous, chronic inflammatory process. So you have to take care of your microbiota, absolutely. Otherwise, it is a continuous trigger of inflammation. So, always protect the integrity of the mucosal layer of the gut. We have a wonderful, really wonderful product for that. It is named Colostro Noni. Please take note of this. It is a food supplement, but it has for me the dignity of a pharmaceutical. Now we see why. it is able to select the gut bacteria. I mean, for too many years, we thought that it was good to kill bacteria, the antibiotic era. Then someone arrived and said, no, it's important to insert bacteria. Everybody goes to the pharmacy and take probiotics. No. Now, with colostrum noni, we are introducing a new concept, that is, select the bacteria, restore the homeostasis between that 10,000 different species of bacteria, and act on the consequence of the alteration of gut microbiota homeostasis, which is the prevalence of pathogens, inducing inflammation, inducing damages on the gut mucosa, and the solution is able, colostrum noni, to repair the gut mucosa. You will be able to restore the right histology of the gut mucosa. If I look inside of your gut, I will see a lot of little cuts. Because that inflammation that for years you have had in your gut provoked the damage. You need a microsurgeon to restore that. That microsurgeon is colostrum noni. But don't believe to me. Don't believe me. I show you the results, the evidence of the study. But this is really a great, great food supplement. This is the colostrum, bovine colostrum, the first milk for mammal species. It is perfect. Mother Nature is perfect, always. Look, it contains IgA, IgM, IgG, the perfect spectrum to protect the baby with antibodies. It contains lactoferrin. How beautiful is this protein, lactoferrin? It is a protein able to take off iron from the bacteria. Bacteria needs iron. If they don't have iron, the pathogens die. Lactoferrin does, first of all, that. It contains interleukin 10 and interleukin 2. Interleukin 10 is the strongest anti-inflammatory cytokines we have in our body. So the colostrum calms down all the inflammation in the gut mucosa. It contains several other things. It contains, look, these growth factors. Insulin growth factor, the active metabolite of GH. Epidermal growth factor, all the epithelium. Do you have an epithelium in your gut mucosa? Oh my God. Monolayer, epithelial monolayer. So this growth factor feed the mucosa. Fibroblast growth factor, you increase the physiology of the lamina propria. Transforming growth factor, it contains antioxidant vitamins, it contains minerals and trace elements, and these are only some of the over 600 components of colostrum. We published our study on this impact journal, Italian, Minerva Gastroenterologica e Dietologica. It is in English anyway, so if you want to, I have the full paper if you want. So, why colostrum noni selects the gut microbiota? We measure the quantity of interleukin 8 expressed by the cells after providing colostrum noni from Guna. You can see that increase in a very important way the expression of interleukin 8, which is the cytokine able to induce chemotaxis in target cells. I mean, it is responsible of the recruitment of macrophages in the area. If you recruit in the gut space macrophages, macrophages select the gut microbiota acting on the pathogens. So we can absolutely say that thanks to this mechanism, colostrum in colostrononi select the right bacteria of the gut microbiota. If you select the right bacteria, you are controlling the microbiota. Controlling the microbiota, you are controlling the inflammation. If you control the inflammation, you don't have damages due to the low-grade chronic inflammatory process at the gut mucosa. First mechanism. Second mechanism, even more important. Colostrononi is able to restore the integrity of the intestinal mucosa. Is that microsurgeon able to restore that integrity? It is due especially to lactoferrin, the growth factors, and the oligopolysaccharides into the noni juice. Especially colostrononi is able to act on the junctional systems between the epithelial cells, which are the cells of the gut mucosa monolayer. We have several types of junctional system. The most important are the tight junctions because are the more superficial, but also the gap junctions or the desmosome. Because of the alteration in the gut microbiota, you have an inflammation. The inflammation provokes the break of the tight junctions, and you don't have more the barrier effect in your gut mucosa. And food intolerance, everything happens. You need to restore that integrity. We know exactly how bovine colostrum through lactoferrin and noni juice through oligosaccharides producing interleukin 8 with this loop are able to induce the epithelial cells to have a cellular proliferation, migration, and differentiation. But this is the effect, and it's very easy to see in a picture what really happened when you give your patient colostrononi. This is the differentiation turnover of the epithelial cells of the culture in starvation. Just with the broth of culture, using only colostrum, using colostro from Guna, colostrononi. Please look this column. It means that if you had an epithelial layer in your gut mucosa this way, using colostrononi, you will have this way. It means that you will have a stronger barrier effect. You will have no more bad absorption problems. Just think of the use of colostrononi in gluten sensitivity patients, but also in celiac patients. Not that you are curing the celiac disease, but the problem of absorption will be improved by colostrononi because there is a problem of monolayer. Why it's so important in allergy? Because you have seen that in allergy, that inflammation provokes a continuous passage of allergens. You have to close that barrier. At this moment, the best product to do that is colostrononi. So, personally, I would add in this scheme, besides the drainage, the rebalance of the PNE axis, also to act on the gut mucosa with colostrononi.
Is there any plant, corresponding plant compound for
Honestly, I don't know if there is plants. I really don't know. I don't know. It's interesting, but I think that also vegan doesn't take colostrum. No. No. Yeah, yes, I understand, but it's the first food of no milk. Ah, okay. Anyway, I don't know. But I will, excuse me, I will give you an alternative now.
What about someone with a dairy allergy?
In terms of allergy, there is absolutely no problem with colostrum. Why? Because the only possibility, the only restriction in the use of colostrum noni is when you have a patient with lactose intolerance. But you know very well that the lactose intolerance is very rare. I mean, the intolerance to the sugar. Because it is a genetic disease, also called agalactosidasis, privative alpha. Lactose, but just in 1 minute, lactose is a sugar, is a dimer built by glucose and galactose with beta-glucoside binding. When you have a real lactose intolerance, you don't have the enzyme beta-galactosidase, able to digest the binding between glucose and galactose, freeing the glucose. But the pediatrician, after 7-9 days from the birth, understand that because the kid doesn't improve his weight. Unfortunately, many people think to be intolerant to milk or milk derivatives because of the lactose. They are not intolerant to lactose. They are intolerant to the proteins of milk. But if you look at the proteins profile of colostrum, it is completely different to the proteins profile of mature milk. So, no problem also in those patients with milk or milk derivatives intolerance. On the contrary, you will treat with colostrum noni their milk intolerance because the proteins of milk provoke inflammation. Inflammation provoke damages in the gut mucosa. You need to restore the good barrier. Colostrum noni. Colostrum noni is provided 1 sachet a day for a long time. 1 sachet a day, okay? Restore the correct composition of the intestinal microbiota and the physiological turnover of the epithelial cells. Okay, these are some of the possible application fields of colostrum noni beside allergies. Leaky gut syndrome, it is designed for that. And please believe me, I don't know if you eat perfectly, but all of you are under leaky gut syndrome attack. Atrophic gastritis and peptic ulcer, alteration of the digestive mucosal monolayer. IBS, IBD, dysbiosis, gluten sensitivity. In our country is becoming an epidemic, gluten sensitivity. Even celiac syndrome. Another product I want to suggest you to act on the gut microbiota. From one side, you select the microbiota and restore the integrity of the gut mucosa with colostrum noni. If you are in the position to increase the population of the gut microbiota, there are several probiotics. I speak about our probiotic, it's named Proflora. It is very interesting because it contains 6 strains of Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus, which are the most important, especially in allergic patients. I mean, they stimulate, especially lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, they stimulate the toll-like receptors of dendritic cells for that mechanism, you remember. And also because we treat them with a specific manufacturing procedure that make them to be microencapsulated. And they pass through the gastric acid environment with not being destroyed by the chlorhydric acid, which is what happens several times when you take a probiotic. You take, I don't know, 10 billion strains. Yes, but at the origin, when they arrive to the gut, they are much less. Instead, with this microencapsulation technique, this is the paper, okay? Then you will be able to check. I will give you my slides. You have 2 billion strains per sachet at the origin, and it will be the same of another product which declare 10 billion per sachet. So it's interesting. I mean, if colostrum noni is unique in the world, doesn't exist anything else till now to select the microbiota and to restore the integrity of the gut mucosa, probiotics, there are thousands. This is interesting for those two characteristics, to stimulate in the right way the dendritic cells and for the microencapsulation. So you know what you are giving to your patient. Dosage, we recommend 1 sachet daily for periods at least 30 consecutive days. At least, because to replace the gut microbiota, really you need long time. Okay, good. So I think that we can write, and I do that, beside matrix, beside Prev, for sure colostrum noni. My friend, I really recommend you this product, because I take it, for instance. I am under 3 medications normally. I arrive. Interleukin 10, because I am a little inflamed with this life I do. Guna matrix, because I need to be charming. So I need a Guna matrix. No, I'm joking, but you can imagine with my life, I am under attack of toxins because, and colostrum noni, because I have a very bad diet, because I eat more in the airports. I am under stress, so I have a little GERD also, and I don't want that those cells in the esophagus will differentiate themselves. So I take under control the integrity of my digestive mucosa with colostrum noni. And I immediately, if I stop to take colostrum noni, immediately change. Immediately change. So, you know, as pharmacology is my life, so I am very pharmacology oriented. I am a little snobbish with food supplements, okay. But this is more than a food supplement. This is really a pharmaceutical. Please.
I just wanted to check the lactose intolerance, can you use it for bacterial enzyme?
Yeah. Yes.
And the second thing I wanted to ask you was, with the noni content, is there fructose, much fructose in it?
Fructose?
Yeah, in the noni?
Yes, we use exactly the juice of the pulpa. I don't know in English, pulpa, flesh of the juice of the pulp of the noni fruit, and it has a concentration of fructose. I can tell you exactly. No, never. never. Also because the procedure to produce it, it's very, very controlled. And we decide to put the noni juice for several reasons, but also because containing fructose, it doesn't alterate the glucose curve. So it's safe by the point of view. In terms of intolerance to fructose, never we have seen something like that.
And lastly, so by taking it and obviously the flora, you've seen an increase in biodiversity of the gut, the diversity of the bacteria and the
Then, yeah, more than on the biodiversity, on the number with the Proflora. On the biodiversity with colostrononi, especially selecting the commensal ones and killing the pathogens ones. So, yeah, so that's the reason why it's very interesting, the combined use of colostro and Proflora, not only in allergic patients, but in general. In that case, my suggestions is to provide for the first 2 months colostrononi, and after a cycle of treatment with colostrononi, Proflora, because first you repair the gut mucosa with colostro, and then you make a repopulation of the gut microbiota, making the commensal able to be adherent to the gut mucosa wall. So it's interesting this consecutive use, colostro first and Proflora after.
just to be certain I'll get this clear, so I don't have a quick. But just ask you that then with regard to Candida, Klebsiella, Citrobacter, bacillus, it will displace those. Is that right? Without the aid of specific antibacterials and antifungals.
Okay, say again because I didn't understand it.
A lot of the times, holistic practitioners would use antifungals.
Yeah, okay.
In the forms of herbs, organic use
Mhm.
antifungals.
Yeah, sure.
And if you use, but with this approach, can you
Absolutely, yes.
eradicate without specific
Okay, it depends by the infection, because sometimes the infection is so strong that, okay, for 3 days you have to use fluconazole, for instance. But after, it's important to act on the gut mucosa, and in that case, absolutely the best combination is first colostrononi, then Proflora. In case of Candida, it's very important the use of a medication I'm going to show you now, okay? It's named Ubioflor, because it contains, as nosode, exactly the Candida. So you are providing an antigen to increase the immune response against Candida. So it's very interesting, the combination of food supplements plus exactly the medication I'm going to, before the break at 12:30, these medications. You can combine very well. Okay, good. And exactly to answer your question, you remember that I showed this picture 15 minutes ago. Always protect the integrity of the mucosa layer of the gut. Solution, colostrononi, both to select the gut microbiota and to restore the integrity of the gut mucosa. In terms of low-dose medication, so for vegan patients who cannot take the colostro, the alternative can be the combination of Ubioflor, is important also for your question, Ubioflor plus Guna Bowel. If colostrononi by itself does both, selecting the gut bacteria and repairing the gut mucosa, in terms of low-dose pharmacology, we need to combine Ubioflor plus Guna Bowel. Why I can say that? Remember, I told you at the beginning, don't believe me, just believe if I can show you with a paper or with a precise mechanism the action of a medication. This is Ubioflor, what we are speaking before. It contains typical phytotherapy and homeopathic remedies with anti-fermentation and, even more important, anti-putrefaction action on the intestine. But the real core of this medication, that is our referring point for every type of dysbiosis, is the core of nosodes, where you have Colibacillinum, that is Escherichia coli, okay? So important, for instance, Escherichia coli is overexpressed in inflammatory bowel diseases. Escherichia coli is so overexpressed in cystitis, chronic cystitis. 80% of the case, cystitis are due to Escherichia coli. And especially in chronic cystitis, to treat the urinary bladder, you have to treat the intestine. The best way to treat a chronic cystitis is colostrononi plus Proflora and or ubioflor. It contains Proteus and look, it contains Candida. So vaginal Candida, you have always to take a look of the gut. You have to restore the homeostasis, colostro. You have to use Proflora. You have to consider ubioflor, absolutely. And the perfect match with, of ubioflor that work selecting the gut microbiota as well as colostro is Guna bowel. I want to spend few words about Guna bowel. It is another of the most used low-dose pharmacology products because the most part of people use with great success Guna bowel for constipation. For two things, constipation and abdominal bloating. Why for constipation? My friend will understand very well. Aloe cicotrina is a plant. Rhamnus frangula and rheum. They are in nature the three strongest plants against constipation. But, why I'm presenting you Guna bowel in terms of gut protection? For this guy, vitamin D3. It is absolutely so important to protect the gut mucosa. We are used to think in terms of vitamin A for that, but also vitamin D is so important. Vitamin D deficiency is a critical factor in the pathology of variety of cancer, as well as inflammatory bowel diseases, but also autoimmune disease, blah, blah, blah. But, why is important vitamin D to protect your gut mucosa? Because vitamin D is able to bind the receptor on the surface of the epithelial cells of the gut mucosa monolayer, vitamin D receptor. The binding starts the activation of some part of DNA for the expression of some proteins which are occludin, claudin 12, claudin 2. And what are they? They are the proteins of the tight junctions. Look at the animation in the slide. Vitamin D bind the receptor. The epithelial cells start with the synthesis of zona occludi 1 occludins, and the tight junctions works again. So even vitamin D inside of Guna bowel is that little microsurgeon that, as well as colostrononi, is able to restore the integrity. So if they cannot use colostro because they are vegans, please give them the association ubioflor plus Guna bowel. This is a very, very important approach. Okay, so in our protocol for allergy, you have seen how sophisticated it is. We consider matrix plus bowel or liver according to the type of allergy. Guna allergy prev to act on the original scene of the disease. Colostro-noni and proflora or ubioflor plus Guna bowel to act on the gut discomfort that we know is at the basis of allergies. We know the mechanism. You remember, no bacteria, no activation of dendritic cells, no activation of dendritic cells, no interleukin-12, no interleukin-12, no control on Th1 and Th2 imbalance. So it's a real complete approach. Last but not least, before the break, what can we consider to give comfort to the symptomatology? It depends by the level of symptomatology. I don't exclude allopathic medications also in some cases. Otherwise, it's very interesting, Guna allergy treat, okay? You can see that it contains, especially homeopaths will appreciate this composition, apis, that in homeopathy maybe is the most important remedy for that, allium cepa, rhinoconjunctivitis, for instance, Sabadilla, Galphimia glauca, and so on. It contains adrenalinum. That's interesting because, for instance, when you have allergic asthma patients, you need to act on the beta-2 adrenergic receptors. So that's the reason why we have adrenaline to give bronchodilation. Because of this composition, including the presence of bronchus porcine and mucosa nasalis suis, you understand that Guna allergy treat is specifically indicated in respiratory allergies, okay? In respiratory allergies. Beside Guna allergy treat, impress in your mind allergic asthma together with all the other medication. We also have Guna Rhino nose spray, which is specifically indicated for allergic rhinitis. You can see the presence of, once again, apis, histaminum to have an antihistaminic local activity, cuprum gluconate. You know that according to oligotherapy, copper is the most important trace element in allergy. Interleukin-10, you will learn, is the most important anti-inflammatory cytokine. And interleukin-10 work very well synergistically with argentum nitricum, that in homeopathy is the strongest remedy to treat mucosal inflammation. But why we provide the local spray of Guna Rhino? Because it contains, in allergic rhinitis, look, interleukin-12, gamma interferon, ribes nigrum, black currant bud. So you have from one side, with Guna allergy prev, a systemic action. With Guna Rhino, a local anti-allergic action. This is the bag of tools you can have for the treatment of allergy. After the lunch, I will show you the results of our clinical trial, a very sophisticated clinical trial, just accepted on the Italian Journal of Pediatrics, an Impact magazine, on the treatment of atopic dermatitis. Those poor kids with mild to severe atopic dermatitis. What can we do? Do we give them corticosteroids? Come on, they are kids. You will see the effectiveness of the combination of interleukin-12, gamma interferon, and Guna matrix in this dramatic, for those poor kids disease. Okay? Perfect. Now, what will you do? You will eat. What does it mean? That you will be bombing your gut mucosa. So after lunch, your gut mucosa will be inflamed. Being inflamed, you will have a damage of tight junctions. Having a damage of tight junctions, all the bacteria will pass through your mucosa, increasing the inflammation. Because of this inflammation, your enterochromaffin cells will produce less serotonin. So after lunch, you will be depressed, unless you protect your gut mucosa with colostronone. Okay, that's fine. Okay, good.